Oh man. Happy Mother's Day. Here we go. Here we go. We're back live with another crazy drum stream. Oh man, what's up folks? My name is Steve Holmes. We're streaming live from Los Angeles in my drum room here. We do this once in a while when life permits. We play some drums, we get out of our system, and we talk drumming. We answer questions, we chat. It's all fun. It's all about drumming here, okay? So if you're not interested in drumming, then I don't know what to tell you. Feel free to click away. But we're here. We're going to drum, okay? We had to make some changes to the setup here a little bit to reduce the latency. The stream last week, or the last one that we did, I should say, watching it after the fact, man, there was some really nasty delay and frame rate issues there. So we did some tweaking, we did some dialing of the things, and hopefully got rid of a lot of that stuff. So I'm hoping that the delay is not so bad. But feel free to let me know in the comments how it's sounding, how it's looking, etc. Okay? So we're going to play some drums, and we're going to talk about drums. All right? So for now, we're just going to do a little improvising. All right? This is my therapy. So welcome. Post those comments, post those questions. Thanks for hanging out. Man, I should have stopped playing a long time ago. Oh man. You know what my thing is like, I'm easily distracted by themes, you know? As soon as I hear like one thing like chukachi, like on the stacks here, I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna keep doing that and just experiment with like filling in between, which can be challenging because a lot of times you get to playing a fill or something in between that theme and you're not sure the right sticking to come out to play that theme, that thematic statement, you know? Yeah, but that's the point, right? Is to push yourself and make mistakes and suck. So that's what we're doing, except we're doing it live. What's up, folks? My name is Steve Holmes. This is the Drum Room in Los Angeles. Thanks for hanging out. We play drums, we talk about drums, we do the things. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. My gift to you is a bunch of drumming, apparently. So cheers. All right, let's see what's happening here. Let's see, we got Mike Coates who says, what's the best practice routine for hitting those accented rim shots during a phrase or a fill? Hitting those accented rim shots during a phrase or a fill. I mean, geez, I mean, just playing rim shots on the snare drum, it's not really something that, I mean, the only time I kind of, you know, worked on that was in the context of a groove, you know. In terms of like playing fills and soloing and phrasing and all that different kinds of stuff, I mean, I'm all about accents, as folks may or may not know. I mean, for me, like the accents is the phrase. You know, a lot of times if you hear me play a bunch of notes, you know, really I'm just thinking about the accents and I'm just filling in the little notes in between, but I'm not really thinking about those little notes because I've kind of worked them out and practiced them ahead of time. I'm just thinking about like da, da, this, da, 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 because that's what the accents are. But really what you hear is like, you know, that kind of thing. So there's that. But I mean, in terms of, I mean, you know, trying to be helpful and specific to your question, I mean, you just it's just the kind of thing where like you have to intend for that to be the purpose from the start, you know, like you want your phrase to be, you know, basically the accents, you know what I mean? You want those to be a lot louder because that's kind of the statement that I'm making. And so you kind of have to work on self-mixing, you know, you have to make sure your accents are where you want them in relation to everything else, and your backbeat in relation to your ghost notes, and your bass drum in relation to your backbeat, and your hi-hat and ride cymbal in relation to your kick and snare when you're playing grooves. I mean, you got to kind of self-mix in real time when you're playing, but in order for that to happen, like you have to have an idea of how you want it to sound before you start. You know, that's the thing, is like before you even pick up sticks, like you got to know what you're going for, you know? You have to have an idea of the picture before you start drawing it so you know what to draw, in this case, so you know what to play. You know what I mean? And if you want to play like bass, bass, blah, da, 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 blah, you know, then you got to know that ahead of time, you know? Ba, ba, blah, da, 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 da. You know, and I'm hitting rim shots on those accents, you know, but you don't necessarily have to do that. You know, it's really loud when you do that. Like you can play that phrase, but like a quieter version, but still successfully play that phrase, you know. You know, and just try to successfully, you know, play the thing that you want to play, but you just got to work on it. You know, you got to work on with rim shots, without rim shots, you know, and of course I started to, you know, vary it up a little bit because that's just the natural tendency. Once you get something, you want to start, you know, putting it around the kid. I do anyway, you know, so instead of bad, it's stews, stosh, you know. That's kind of that's the natural progression of things, but all throughout that process I want to anyways, like stay true to that intended statement, which kind of goes back to the thing I said at the end of my improv, which was like a theme, ba, ba, da, 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 da. Those accents could just be a theme that you use all around, ba, 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 da, 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 so you could be like, ba, ba, whatever, like just fill it in, but that's really the answer. I hope that helps. Like, you have to know what you want to do. You have to do the thing that you intend to do and practice it at different volumes, with rim shots, without rim shots, that kind of thing. So I hope that helps. If anyone is interested in supporting the stream or the channel, there's a little super button in the chat, little smiley face or a little $sign. Either one of those allows folks to make a donation. And then their question will get a deluxe answer in that case. And if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, there's a little thanks button at the bottom. If you want to support the channel, that would be fantastic. We're working on getting some new gear for 2022. I've been doing a lot of research actually on the new gear, getting a new, a MacBook Pro, the 16-inch, and I have to get a new recording unit because my old Focusrite Sapphire 40 that we got going here is not going to work with a new laptop. And so if I get a new laptop, we have to get a new recording unit. And so that's what's on the menu. So we'll see if we can get that going. So that was for Mike Coates. So let's see, Joe Paradiddle says, don't you think it makes more sense to play the latter as right hand, right foot, left hand, left foot? You can land on one with the right foot after the snare and cymbal. That's a great point, Joe Paradiddle. I have spent way too long practicing it the other way to kind of change, the sticking on the ladder now. But for those that don't know what the ladder is, it's like playing a role with alternating hands and feet, just kind of one at a time. And so the sticking that I use is right hand, left foot. Sorry, right hand, left foot. And then left hand, right foot, right? So by the time one limb strikes something, all three have to happen before it's time to do it again. And so as a result of all that break that you can get it going like really fast, right? So here's a demonstration of the ladder, how I play it. So the exercise that I practiced actually to get this going is I did like 8s, triplets, 16ths, quarters, 8s, triplets, 16ths, right, with the hands, and then filled in with the feet, and so it's actually double that subdivision. All right, so that's me playing it at like a kind of slow to medium tempo, and I did like 4 on each drum, and then I switched to 3 on each drum, still going hand to hand. And once you get comfortable with doing that, once you like get it up to speed, then the feet never change for me, but I start doing like just with one hand, for example. But the feet never change. So what you don't want to happen is what happened with me at the end there, which is the limbs start like flamming and they start like playing on top of each other. And so that's what you want to try to avoid for that. But you could see, like what I was talking about, like alternating hands and then all rights, all lefts, like groups of 4, you know, 3, 3, 2, 2, and then you can actually do paradiddles too, which is kind of cool. And then we talked about this recently. I started mixing in Swiss flam, so it's like flam right left, flam right left. And again, the feet never change. And once you get the flam right left thing happening, you can kind of put that around the kit in ways that kind of sound cool. But I can barely do it, so I'll do it, but it's gonna sound pretty bad. And my pedal starts to run away when I do this, which you'd think I would take as a hint, right, to not do this anymore. But someone asked, and it's really a good coordination exercise, I think, and it sounds cool, you know, I think. So you can hear, like, once you start putting the hands around the kit, like, you get kind of these free phrases, you know, das do do's, da, da. The left hand is just going das da das da da, and so you can start putting that on different things, you know, das da das do do's, chi 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 chi, that kind of thing. And the right is doing groups of 2 also, and so you can kind of separate that from like cymbal to floor tom, which I was doing kind of over here. Again, all using the ladder, you know, pattern, but instead of doing hand to hand, it's like flam right left, which my friend Derek showed me. He does it like incredibly fast, and he got into, which I could do actually a little bit. I can make a fool out of myself doing this now, but like if you play groups of 2 and you separate them on different surfaces, like right, left, right, which is total like showboat pointless thing, and has no musical value, but it is kind of challenging to get, like, you know, to work on like motion around the kit and coordination and that kind of thing. So let's try to do that. Let's do groups of 2 with the hands and see if we can separate it on these 2 drums actually. Again, we're doing the ladder, which is right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot, okay? And then we're gonna do groups of 2 with the hand and see if we can split them up. And it's going to be horrible because I can hardly do it. Ready? Started to sound like 2001 Space Odyssey there towards the end. And you could see when I was doing it, like between the snare and the tom, like I was like, nope, that's not happening, because I've actually never worked on that. But the tom thing I actually have worked on a little bit, but it's been years. And so that's how I'm like able to do it. But now that we've explained the ladder, Joe Paradiddle is suggesting a different sticking. He's like right hand, right foot, left hand, left foot. Let's see what that feels like. All right, let it be said that I don't ever like play things that I can hardly do on the stream. I can hardly do that. You know, the thing is, like, that if that sticking makes sense, then so be it. I'm kind of at the point where it's like I've worked on it the other way for so long, and there's no benefit to rewiring my brain because the sound is identical. So that's the ladder. Right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot. That. Virgil's the king of that stuff. Vinny has been known to do it on occasion. I've seen Weck do it. Actually, Weck does it in a really musical way. Leave it up to him to take a thing that everyone's doing, and he's like, "No, guys, this is how it's supposed to be." He has like little cowbells and stuff, and he'll actually play the quarter note on the cowbell so that there's like a pulse amongst the busyness, actually, which I've never tried. That might be worth trying. So your hands are playing like 16th notes. But your right hand is playing on the cowbell like every other one to give, you know, something to latch onto, you know. You know, and then I started to kind of do like a ding, got, you know, and that's something else that is actually a really good idea to do when you're playing something super busy. It's really good to like give a, you know, something for the listener to kind of latch onto, like, oh, there's this cool busyness, but there's still like a pulse there. And so that is the ladder. What else we got? Matthias Knorr. Matthias Knorr. Matthias, every time you're here, I'm like, man, you need to we need to talk so I can pronounce your name correctly. But you guys, Matthias is one of the best drummers on YouTube. He's amazing, and folks should check out his channel. He's got an amazing drum kit and drum sound, and he's an amazing player. So if folks are interested in more amazing drummers, the world is full of them. Matthias is definitely one. Thank you for hanging out, Matthias. Really appreciate it, man. Let's see. Taziano Interland says, "Hi, Steve. You are an inspiration to me for the past 10 years. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that." Bobby Vincent, Tony Williams poster. Nice. Bobby Vincent. Yeah, you've been to many streams. We've got other posters here, and I'm probably going to hang them up once we get like the upgrade going with the cameras and stuff. But we've got a couple other posters going too. Actually, on one of my past streams, I did a whole, like I went and got all my posters and showed them and stuff. But yes, the Tony Williams poster was actually signed by Tony, and it was given to me as a gift for my birthday in the 90s by a friend of mine named Scott Klein, who is a guitar player, and he played guitar in this band that I was in the 90s, this rock band called, at first we were called Joe King, and then we were called Fuse. And we actually had a couple of really good sounding demos that I've been thinking about lately. I've been thinking about trying to release them in some capacity. But yeah, lots of fun making music with those guys. And that is signed by Tony, which I love until I think about the fact that Tony switched to DW, and I just have no idea how that happened. But whatever. Okay, So Drum Tech says, "Hello from Thailand, my master." So Drum Tech, thank you for hanging out. Let's see. Sorry, I'm scrolling back up through the chat. I know this is lots of dramatic triplet proof. Yes. Bobby Vincent, can you explain the angle of the floor tom somehow for traditional? Let's see. I mean, the angle of the floor tom for traditional, I mean, that insinuates that you hit your floor tom with your left hand a lot. And I guess, I mean, I don't know. I just, I mean, there's no real secret to it other than just me, you know, messing with it until I'm comfortable. You know, I guess if I'm trying to to get this set up in the way that I like, then I'm going to play like, you know, the drum itself, and I'm also going to play from drum to drum and make sure that it's comfortable. But there's no like off kind of angle that I abide by. I mean, I'm actually one of these guys that every time I set up my drums, it's a little different, you know, for better or for worse. But there's no real like, I mean, it is kind of angled like on a slope kind of towards me. But mostly, like, I just want to make sure my right hand is like in a good spot. And now that I think about it, Bobby, you're bringing it to my attention, like, I kind of have to pull my arm back a little bit to hit the center of the drum, which is probably not good. So I should probably move this in this direction or move myself back a little bit, because, I don't know, I'm a big proponent of wanting my limbs to be like in the relaxed position, you know, while I'm playing. I don't want to have to do any kind of like extra work, really. And that goes double with every passing year. So there's really no secret to that. Yeah, sorry, I don't have like a magic example of that kind of thing. Just like, you know, you could just set up like a snare and a floor tom and a kick and that's it, and like really just spend some time like in this place and make sure that, you know, you're comfortable, and then like introduce, you know, other stuff and make sure that everything is comfortable. I mean, I think it's a good idea to do that once in a while, is like start with the kick and the snare and just spend some time playing, like tear down your whole kit and spend some time playing. Make sure that you are centered. Make sure that your thighs are straight. For me, anyway, obviously, you guys, you know, sit at different heights. Actually, people sit at my kit and like, wow, you sit low. And I'm like, well, I just sit at the height to keep my thighs straight. You know, I don't want my knees to be up or down necessarily. You know, and my arms are at a relaxed position. You know, I'm not like hitting too low or hitting too. Like I used to have my snare like really high, and that's not a good idea, you know. And so, you know, just start with kick and snare, tear it down and set it up, and just play some grooves, set up your hi-hat, and just spend some time, you know, at the core. Make sure everything's good, make sure you're relaxed, make sure that you're not leaning to one side, and then introduce like one thing, introduce your floor tom, you know, and just don't give in too quick, don't start to set everything else up, you know. Just introduce one thing at a time, and make sure that, you know, the foundation is still strong and that you're comfortable playing all of your stuff, you know, kind of thing. So that's what I got for the floor tom, Bobby Vincent. I hope that is helpful. I have a feeling it's not. Let's see, the Icy Knot says it's not a toy. Remember, that's true. It is not a toy, you guys. All these things that we're saying are not toys, so don't hurt anyone with them. Is that a steel snare hoop? I don't know. This is a Noble and Cooley snare. The origin of this snare is kind of interesting. I mean, I have this on here because this snare sounds great in this room. You know, I find that, you know, different snares, you know, in different rooms, they sound better or worse. And I had a different snare up here for a while, and then I switched to this one, and I was a world of difference. And I was like, whoa, we're going to stick with this one for a while. And I had a 24-inch bass drum years ago, and then I wanted to get rid of. And I had a roommate at the time, and I asked him if he would take care of that, and so he did. He did a Craigslist thing, and he's traded the bass drum for this snare drum and some cash. And so it's not like I went out and like, oh, I need a Noble and Cooley snare drum, you know. We just kind of like happened to get this, and it sounds good in this room. Let's see. Pablo Swanson says, the latter played by a true lad. Okay. Pablo Swanson laughing. Okay, time to practice now. Yeah, whatever, Matthias. Sublime Climb. Bludged a sticking variation on the ladder example. Well, the thing about the bludged is it's like you need it to be together. You need the bludged and the duh to be connected. You know, you can't have like, you know, a foot in between the bludge, foot, duh, foot, bludge, duh, you know, like, I don't think that's going to sound good. Although maybe I'll work on that, or you work on it, Bobby, and if you come up with a cool way to do it, then let us know, and we'll share with the group. Let's see, Luis Acosta says, do you have any suggestions for practicing buzz drum rolls? Oh, man. Suggestions, yeah. Don't play it like me. My buzz rolls are horrible, you guys. I don't have a good buzz roll. and I'm going to play my bad buzz roll for you right now. And I see these guys that like have the nice even, like you can't even hear the strokes buzz roll. I don't have that. But I mean, if you're looking for an answer, Luis, that's my answer. Find a guy who has a really good buzz roll, who can play it so the strokes are, you can't even hear the strokes. You just want the zzzz. And I always thought that was cool. And maybe one day, you know, I'll work on that. Actually, that's maybe a good idea, is to spend some time working on the buzz stuff instead of, you know, the double stroke clean stuff, which I'm so about. And I like doing buzzes like with one hand, but man, my buzz roll, it's just so bad. You know, and I'm kind of holding tight and kind of pushing in to kind of make the buzz happen and kind of squish it a little. You know, but if you're starting from scratch, I mean, if you have like a beginner student or something, you're trying to explain the concept of a buzz roll, like you just got to let the stick hit the drum and just let it bounce by itself. You know, it's important to know that the stick wants to do that. And then when you're playing a buzz roll, you're just kind of like, you're controlling that. But it's the same thing that's happening, but you're controlling it, you know? So if you do it and you kind of press harder, you know, like it's cool to experiment with that kind of stuff. Like let it start bouncing and then push on it and get a feel for the knobs that you have to turn, you know? You know? And I know I have the talkie mic on, so it's probably really loud, but it'll probably sound better through this mic. If I turn it off this mic, you're gonna hear like every little, like, it's gonna sound so bad. Okay, let's do it. You know what's funny is I can hear a distinct difference between my right hand and my left hand. I really need to work on my left hand in that context. But yeah, practice it more than I have is my answer, and try to get. I wish I could think of someone. Like I've seen videos with guys like where they have the buzz roll and like you can't even hear the strokes. It's just like, and I think that's just the coolest thing. I want to be able to do that actually. Maybe I'm going to work on that. Luis, so, or you can work on it, Luis, and you can come back and send a video and be like, hey, check out my perfect buzz roll, and that's really going to motivate me to get mine going. So let's see, Bobby Vincent says, if I didn't build my own slave drum kit, I definitely want the Phoenix. Yes, we love the Yamaha Phoenix in this part of town. That's what these drums are. These are the Yamaha Phoenix. They just sound amazing. I'm a Yamaha artist. But there's a reason, you know, like you see this Yamaha recording custom kit I had back here since the late 80s, and then got the Phoenix as soon as they come out, and man, these drums in this room, like in any room, but like they just sing so much. They're just a little louder than other drum series, which takes some getting used to actually, but you literally get more out of it when you hit the drum. Like you get more for your stroke, if you will. So it's like, and they just resonate for days. I just love that kind of doom, you know, I just love that long resonant sound. And Yamaha drums, as soon as you put a head on, that like happens. And I love that sound. Birch, maple, and jatopa is the shell combination here. Let's see. Boomstick says, just put some Velcro on the bottom of your left side double pedal. Yes, that's a good idea to prevent it from running away. I should do that. Bobby Vincent says muscle memory. Let's see. Lewis says, do you have, okay, we talked about buzz rolls. How do you reach the toms using traditional grip? Practice is the answer to that. Let's see. That was, sorry, I click on the chat and then like it automatically scrolls down. We talked about buzz roll. How do you reach the toms using traditional grip? Okay, it says, you know, Kai Deegan, just practice, man. You know, if you're having problems, you know, with your left hand as a result of traditional grip, then just, you know, check out Virgil Donati's power drumming video. You know, that guy, like, he has an exercise on there where he's just like, he just spends time like one hand at a time doing, you know, the same number of strokes, and he just does everything on the kit, because we're talking about muscle memory. you know, and that's not going to happen by magic. You literally have to teach your body, you know. So it's just like, you know, he'll do things like, you know, like whatever, 2 and 3 and 4. You know, make sure you're using all 3 engines. You know, the 3 engines are fingers, wrist, and arm. You know, you've got 3 engines here. Make sure that you practice with each one. Make sure you're using all of them, you know, in the way that's, you know, you're maximizing each one, you know. But that's just me. Like, I can't do that, you know, that Virgil exercise very well. But I remember thinking that it was really cool and it's a good idea. You know, he does it with the right hand and he, you know, going from like, you know, one thing to the furthest thing from it. You know, I mean, I guess it would be the cymbal back here, but I'm not doing that. Sorry. So it's like, but this to this and this to this and that kind of thing. You know, you can practice like playing grooves and instead of a backbeat, you know, you can just play like on the toms during the groove. You know, you can mess around with you know, bass drum and left hand combinations on the toms. You know, I'm a big fan of doing like groups of 2. You know, between the foot and the left hand, and doing them on different subdivisions, like you know, quarter note triplets, eighth note triplets, eighth note, 16th notes, that kind of thing. That'll get your hand moving all around, you know. And then because you're doing groups of 2, you can separate them. So instead of 2 and 2, you can do like 1 2 1 2, 1 2 1 2, like we were doing with the ladder thing, you know, 1 2 1 2, 1 2 1 2. Like, just, you know, there's only so many combinations, especially on a 4-piece, you know. So you just got to practice that stuff and get your body used to those motions. So I was doing the ladder there at the end, like alternating feet, you know, but single. Like, I'm just trying to work the weak hand, you know, like that's pretty much the answer. And I like doing, like, honestly, I really like, especially lately, phrases that have toms and cymbals together. Like, instead of do-dum-dum, I'm like do-dum-dum, like tom and snare, I'm sorry, tom and cymbal together as the last note of a phrase, you know. You know, you get the cheesy double bass licks in there, but it's like toms and cymbals together as a whole a whole thing, especially like floor tom and crash cymbal together. Like you guys have heard me talk about that a lot. We call that the guj, you know, floor tom and cymbal together equals guj. You know, that stuff's fun, like those slow kind of halftime grooves, you know, because there's so much space there. It's like the tom cymbal phrasing like has space to just to be, you know, dum doosh, you know, I love that stuff. So yeah, that's talking about left hand phrasing on the toms, but we ended up talking about like toms and cymbals. So I hope that was helpful. Let's see, that was for. Let's see who was. Oh, that was for Kai Deegan. Let's see. Matthias says Dave calls it the train. Yes, talking about the ladder. Dave calls it the train. Let's see. Pablo Swanson. I bet it'd be super challenging to take out the hands and keep the bass drums on off 30 seconds going because the ladder is kind of an independence thing. Sure. Yeah. Although, I mean, like, I don't know how that would sound offbeat, you know, like 30 seconds. I mean, you'd probably have to have some kind of like musical riff that takes advantage of that. That's like doubling that, like some kind of heavy metal thing. That would probably be cool if there was some kind of like, you know, what Animals as Leaders, you know, if there was a Meshuggah thing where you're like bashing a quarter note, you know, to the groove, but like your feet are doing upbeat 30 seconds, like, you know, at least there's some kind of pulse there. Because by itself, it would just sound like, kind of like, wait, what? Let's see, John, hello, says some of your videos helped shape my musical capabilities to help creativity. Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that, John. Thanks for chiming in. I'm glad the videos helped. It's a weird thing to put out a bunch of videos and like not know like if they're having any effect on folks. So that's nice to hear. Let's see. Thanks for the video lessons. You're welcome. Good idea. Tearing down the kit and rebuild. Yes, it is a good idea. Let's see. Hey, Steve, do you have an emergency alternative for a drum key? No, I don't. Sorry. Let's see. Matthias says I tried to play. Sorry, my chat is like auto scrolling. Let's see, I tried to play the right hand, left hand, right foot train thing, and I still haven't got it together. Most of the time I play right hand, right foot. Yeah, I mean, again, the sound is identical with the ladder. And so whatever sticking you're comfortable with, like that's the way to go. You know, but you know, something else interesting just to say about the ladder really quick is I actually spent a lot of time practicing that away from the drums. Like for a long time when I was younger, I'm sure I annoyed a lot of people because if I was sitting down anywhere where I could hear my feet, I was doing the ladder, like on my knees. You know, movie theaters, you know, benches outside, you know, like anytime I could hear my feet when I was sitting, I was like, to the detriment of anyone sitting next to me. Let's see, Sledgehammer 1 says Carter McLean has outrageous buzz rolls, to name one. Okay, there's a good example. Check out Carter McLean's buzz rolls, Luis. Let's see, Matthias says, yeah, Carter's amazing. Okay, yeah, I found out about him recently. What a player. All right, I will check him out, you guys. Fiat 6 shells are made from Kapor, Jatapopa, and maple, actually. Oh, yes, Kapor, I forgot about that. I keep saying the wrong one. Kapor, Jatopa, and maple. I thought there was birch in there, too. Matthias, you probably know better than I would. Let's see, the IC Not says, Steve, I play in a dance funk band. The guys in the band want a good groove and the big sound. Any suggestions to bring the most out of a drum? That's a good question, actually. Because that's a thing, man. Like getting a full sound without like hitting hard is possible. And a lot of it is like, you know, hitting the drum in the sweet spot, like rim shots. You know, you really got to have control over your inner like mix. You know, I talk about that a lot. you know, having your hands on your faders and playing at the volume that you intend to play, outputting the energy and the notes that you intend. But I mean, really the best way to practice that stuff is just do gigs. You know, I mean, you can practice, you know, on your own, but like, or, you know, just play music with people, you know, get some rehearsals going, or get some guys over and just practice playing music with people, and like intentionally play at different volume levels, you know, or take a tune and arrange it such that, like, okay, so at the beginning we're gonna you know, play it like, you know, really quiet, and then you know, on the first solo we're gonna kind of build it to a medium tempo, and then on the second solo, like, we're gonna get really loud, and then we're gonna bring it way back down. Like, practice that stuff, you know. But you know, it's important for me to be able to output my thing, whatever that is, like my vibe, my energy, my phrasing, my intentions. Like, it's important for me to be able to put that stuff out at low volumes. And it's fun, you know, like quiet phrasing is fun. It really forces you to kind of to get out, you know, the microscope, and because it's harder to just kind of like play at random at quieter volumes, because guys tend to do that. You know, beginner players tend to just, when it comes time to play a fill, they just kind of move their limbs and put them on the drums, and whatever happens, and there's like a degree of randomness to their playing, and I don't want that, you know. But it's, I mean, geez, I mean, if we leave on the talkie mic and just kind of play a quiet groove, you know, like, you can play a rim shot, you know, if you work on it, like with just a, you know, very little stick on the drum. You know, if you work on it, and you can get, like, you know, quiet notes and kind of loud notes, and faces not included. You don't have to make silly faces like me, but that's me just like leaving on the talkie mic to let you hear like what it really sounds like. And I'm sorry if it was like distorted and whatever. But you know, that's me trying to kind of still play like a busy funk thing, but like at a low volume. Actually, check out this guy named Steve Haas, H-A-S-S or H-A-S. I'm not sure how to spell his last name. Check out Steve Haas, you guys. He's a local guy in LA. He's an amazing drummer, and he constantly posts videos like on Instagram of him playing these local gigs at like outdoor shopping centers or like cool nightclubs. And he puts his iPhone right behind his drums, and he plays stuff like that, but much better. Like kind of low volume, but still like playing some stuff, you know? Steve Haas is great at that stuff. Check him out. Just check him out in general. Okay, so that's talking about quiet. Let's see. Hello from Ukraine. Thanks for the inspiration. Don't you think it's necessary to practice with a sand pad? Well, hello back. I don't know how to say your name. And, you know, obviously best wishes to everything going on in Ukraine. I'm not going to embarrass myself and, you know, try to sound like I know what I'm talking about with current events in that area. But just say, you know, like stay safe and keep drumming, man. Let's see, you think it's necessary to practice with a sand pad? I assume that's some kind of like practice pad. And do I think it's necessary? I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I guess a sand pad is a pad that like doesn't have a lot of rebound, I assume. And sure, I'm an advocate of practicing on surfaces that don't bounce, be it sand, a pad with sand in it, or pillows. There's been talk of that in the past with Dennis Chambers and Buddy Rich, and Dennis says that he spent a lot of time playing on pillows to kind of work out the muscles and be able to play fast without the aid of the bounce. And I'm a big proponent of being able to do both. I want to be able to play, and kind of, pull the sound out and rely on the bounce, but also, like, if I need to muscle out some stuff, I want to be able to do that too. But I've actually spent a lot of time playing on my leg. So there's like doubles on my leg, which I've done for decades and decades and decades, and I've played on pillows too and couches, and it's pretty common for drummers to drum on just about anything. There was a good few years where the steering wheel really took a beating while I was parked in my car waiting to pick up a girlfriend or a friend or whatever. So sure, there is a benefit to playing on a surface with no bounce, be it sand or a pillow or something else. Really good for working out the left hand. And working out the molar stuff too, because you really the molar becomes particularly helpful when you're playing on a surface that doesn't have bounce. And so there was a lot of years watching TV and playing on pads and pillows and stuff at the same time, back in what I call the lonely bachelor years. Yeah, so good luck with that. Let's see. Bobby Vincent says that 10 every time I come to the stream just makes me smile, whining like there's no tomorrow. It kind of needs a tune-up, man, and for better or for worse, like, it really does resonate, but it does have a kind of like, that's my fault. I'm just like, I don't spend as much time, tuning as I should. I just kind of get things to a place that I think, okay, well, that sounds good, let's go. Because I don't do that. I don't do this as much as I used to. So once I'm here, I just want to kind of go. But having said that, I think my standard of reasonability is pretty good. Like, I'm pretty happy with the drum sound here. I think the kick actually needs to come up in the mix a little bit. But yeah, love this 10-inch. Let's see, Bobby Vincent. That's the beauty about the PHX drums. We can tune them. Yes, agreed. Let's see, Sledgehammer says, hey Steve, how many hours a week would you say you were practicing in your formative years? What did your practice regime look like back then, and how did it change over the years? Well, man, that's such a loaded question. Before I moved to LA, I grew up in New Jersey, and I marched in marching band for 4 years at a high school, mainland regional high school in Linwood, New Jersey, where they were very, very, very serious about marching band. And when I arrived at high school, there was already like sophomores, juniors, and seniors that really had their hands together in terms of like clean double stroke rolls, drum corps style drumming, which I had no idea what it was. And so I had to get on board with that stuff pretty quick if I wanted to play snare, which I wanted to do. And so I spent a lot of time practicing that stuff then, and then I would go home and play along with rock records. I would play along with Rush records, and for hours and hours. And so for years it was a mixture of playing along with rock and roll and then marching, and then I got into kind of like jazz fusion and stuff, and then I worked on that stuff as much as I could, which is to say not a lot, because I was not at a point where I could teach myself that stuff. I needed to be shown that stuff. And the local drum teacher was this guy named Ray Nunzi, and he was great for like basic jazz independence. Jim Chapin, Ted Reed, that kind of stuff. He really helped me get that stuff together before I moved to LA, which I'm really happy about. But once I moved to LA, that's when, I kind of had like a regime that you're asking about, Sledgehammer One, and I wanted to get my reading together. I wanted to work on soloing. I wanted to work on my time playing with a click. I wanted to work on jazz playing. I wanted to get some Latin drumming together. And I would just rotate, like we obviously, I went to Musicians Institute in 1993, 1994, and went to all those classes and practiced that stuff. But I kind of stuck more to my own, like, here's what I want to get happening before I leave here. And I was more concerned about that than I was like getting the best grade in every class, believe it or not. Because there was some classes that were teaching things that I kind of already had happening, applying rudiments to the drum kit. Like I had kind of had that stuff happening already to some degree. And so I wanted to learn, you know, other stuff. And so I spent a lot of time playing with the click at different tempos. You know, I spent a lot of time like, you know, just reading, you know, reading snare pieces, you know, chart reading, that kind of thing. Playing, I spent a lot of time practicing odd meter. You know, I turn on a click to be in 7 or 5 and just I would play simple grooves and start to take chances and play fills and soloing and stuff until I got comfortable doing that. So I spent a lot of time with that. How many hours a week? I mean, I don't know, man, just to say like, that's all I did. You know, that's all I did. You know, it's always been like, you know, it's been like music and drumming, you know, relationship stuff and video games. I love video games. So I played a lot of video games too. I mean, not a lot when I was going to school, but there was some, you know, it wasn't 100% drumming because I feel it's a good idea to actually have a balance of things. I think it's possible to have too much of one thing and then it starts to chafe. It starts to burn itself out, I think. And so you need to kind of balance it out because I think in the long run, all of the things in your wheel of items, I think are at their best instead of, you know, just only doing one for a while, that kind of thing. But I couldn't tell you how many years. I mean, I'm sorry, how many hours, but it was a full-time thing, you know. It was, you know, as much as a kid or a guy that just obsessed on music, and still am, maybe to a lesser degree, but just, you know, went to school during the day and then went home and ate and came back to school and practiced at night. You know, that kind of thing with the stuff that I talked about before, trying to get that stuff happening. Let's see, how did you swing getting a PHX kit? It sounds unreal. Well, I'm a Yamaha artist, Mitch. And so at the time, Joe Testa was with Yamaha. He's with Zildjian and Vic Firth now. And he and I got to know each other. This was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I first started getting together with Yamaha, actually thanks to Peter Erskine, who kind of put me in touch with them because he was a fan of my website, houseofdrumming.com, which is still around, actually. It's just a little forum where a handful of us hang out. But anyway, he put me in touch with Yamaha, and I've had a relationship with them ever since. And at that time, the Phoenix was just coming around the corner. And he was like, don't get anything new. He's like, wait for this new thing. It's going to be a game changer. And he was right. And then, yeah, and then he kind of, you know, switched things and left, and things happened, and there was a big shift. And he's at Yamaha Zildjian now, and he's just the nicest guy in the world. Joe Testa, cheers. Miss you, buddy. Let's see. Who else are we talking about? I like the sound of your whole kit, but that 12 just sings. Yeah, this is a 10. It's 10-16, you guys, is the toms. No birch. Okay, yeah, Matthias is correcting me. There's no birch in the Phoenix. That's my mistake. I love the different textures in your channel. I love your channel. It's inspired me too. Yeah, talking to Matthias probably, because Matthias is amazing. Let's see, Sean Rickman is great at it. Yeah, Sean Rickman is a great musician. I just have fun watching that guy. He's like Sean Rickman. His dad's an amazing guitar player too, if I'm not mistaken. Local LA guy. Let's see, how amazing. As soon as you started playing that Quiet Groove, I thought of Steve Haas. Yes, well, Steve Haas is no joke. That's a 10-inch. Let's see the whole thing. All right, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, you guys. Let's see, I think that particular finish uses texture ash. Yeah, PHX has a bunch of different colors. Just go to Yamaha.com, Yamaha drums, do some Googling, check out the different finishes. Like the the PHX drums, they're expensive. But man, you'll never need a drum kit for the rest of your life. It is so worth it. Or go to a music store and just hit a PHX tom and hit like any other tom. And, you know, don't let the tuning fool you, because, you know, you're taking your chances in a music store. But just that volume, that resonance, that presence, you'll get the gist of. Oh man, Bobby Vincent, Tom's River marched crazy. Yeah, I was like 86 to 90. There's a video on my YouTube channel of like highlights from my marching stuff, actually. Let's see, 11 play, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about drums still, good point. Some people report a difference. Okay, we're still talking about drums. Steve, you're playing drums all the time. Have you ever hurt your ears? No, says James Wakerly. I have not hurt my ears. I've never had my hearing tested. So it's possible I have lost a little hearing over the years. I do try to wear like you guys see me wearing the cans here when I improvise. These are just generic soundproofing. These are called studio cans. I think these were given to me by someone. But these are just like, the generic soundproofing, headphones with the input for listening to tracks. And then I also have the Vic Firth soundproofing. These are actually, I think I prefer these actually. These are like lighter and more comfortable. And then I've got a really good pair in my office that I need to bring out here. I use for recording actually they're from the company Blue. I forget the name of them. I checked them out because Vinny actually did an ad for them, and so I wanted to check them out, and I was actually very happy with them. So yeah, I do wear ear protection. It's important, and you got to take care of your hearing, because that's a one-way street, man. There's no going back. I have had like some tendon issues and stuff from just every aspect of life, bending and using, and that kind of thing. And actually, I think swimming tends to hurt my arms, so I'm just kind of trying to get that in check. But luckily, the drumming doesn't hurt it too much. So speaking of drumming, let's do a little more drumming, and then we're going to call it. Okay, my name's Steve Holmes. Thanks for hanging out. Please support the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, click the thanks button. If you're on the stream, click the super. And you can support the channel in that direction. Let's see, I've also learned from Reinhardt Metz. Gino, oh man, Gino. I watched the video for Stop. There's old Gino Vanelli videos, man. They're great. Man. Okay, let's play some more. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out. I'm just going to start repeating myself pretty quick here. That's what we do. My name's Steve Holmes. Thanks for hanging out. All right, we'll end it with the gush. Oh man, I can see on the stream the frame is really choppy. See, I gotta upgrade this stuff, you guys. I need like, I need a new laptop. So support the channel if you can. Click that thanks button after this is on YouTube. Thanks you so much, Sledgehammer, for the donation. Really appreciate it. Yeah, man. See you guys later. Thanks for hanging out. My name's Steve Holmes.